What is up, Jada Gang? It's your girl Jada Diamonds here, back with another video. And today we're going to be talking about the books that I want to read in 2023. So I actually just finished wrapping up my top books of 2022, and so now that's why I'm in the same outfit. So now we're going to sit here and we're going to just talk about some books that I'm excited about this year, in no particular order, because I'm actually reading one right now. And yeah, so first of all, before we get into it, I'm Diamond if you're new. Yes, I have been a little bit ghost on this channel. This is my booktube channel. I have started a new channel, which is a vlogging channel. You can find the link to subscribe to that channel in the description box below. If you're trying to see who I am as a person and catch up with me like in my regular day-to-day motions, aside from bookish content, you can head on down to that link, click on it, and subscribe to me if you want to see me there. I'm there every Monday, every Wednesday. No, sorry. I'm there every Wednesday, every Friday, and every Sunday. Literally. Uploads on Wednesdays are 2 p.m. Uploads on Friday are noontime, and uploads on Sunday are at 11. So yeah, go ahead and click on the link down there and subscribe to your girl. I would love to have you over there. Okay, so now without further ado, let's get into these books. So as I said, in no particular order, right now the first book that I am reading this year is Gabriel Garcia Marquez's 100 Years of Solitude. I am halfway done with that book and I am loving it so much. And yeah, so that's the book that's taking us into the new year. And what are we, halfway? We're halfway through January. So I'll probably be reading it for another week or so. I'm going really slow, which is fine because I have a life. Not saying that if you read a lot, you don't have things to do, but I like to read and I take my time. I rounded out the year last year with 30 books. My goal was 50, and that was quite ambitious already because I am such a busy woman, but I'm so happy with the 30 books that I read. Like, oh my God, girl. I started, now if we want to talk about DNFing, I DNF quite a few, but getting through completely, 30 books. So I'm not setting a goal this year. If anything, I'll just set it at 50 again in my story graph, and we'll see where, we'll see what happens. So without further ado, let's just get into it. Like I said, I'm already reading 100 Years of Solitude. So let's start with this list. On top here we have Somerset Maugham's The Razor's Edge, and this is a recommendation from Carly, I think that's her name, over at Carly. She did a reading vlog on this and it just seemed really good. So this is it says that it's one of Maugham's greatest and most endearing popular novels. It tells the story of Larry Darrell, an attractive and enigmatic American who forsakes the comforts of bourgeoisie society to live a life dedicated to the pursuit of truth and meaning. Larry's former fiancée is the beautiful and vivacious Isabel Martin, who is struggling to maintain a family nearly destroyed by the Depression. He is also attracted to the lost, wanton Sophia MacDonald, whose life he attempts to save from its downward spiral. The mindset of the drama stands Elliot Templeton, the irresistible, lovable arch snob with a heart of gold. Perhaps Maugham's greatest fiction creation, spanning 3 continents in nearly half a century, The Razor's Edge makes the culmination of Maugham's storytelling craft. It is a deeply affecting, enormously readable classic that continues to draw readers of every generation. So yeah, definitely on my list. I'm excited. Next we have Lolita by Nabokov, Vladimir Nabokov. This book needs no introduction. Everyone knows what Lolita is about. I'll go ahead and read it, okay? Awe and exhilaration along with heartbreak and moderate wit abode in Lolita, Vladimir Nabokov's most famous and controversial novel, which tells the story of the aging Humbert Humbert's obsessive devouring, the doomed passion for the nymphite Dolores Hayes. Most of all, it is a meditation on love. Love as outrage and hallucination, madness and transformation. So we have Lolita. Next, we have Kafka on the Shore by Haruki Murakami. Got a little Murakami on the list. These are all from my collection. I am not buying any books this year. If I want books that I don't have, the only book that I plan on purchasing is Sorrow and Bliss. That's my top read of 2022. And I read it on audio, so I want the physical copy. Other than that, I'm not buying any books this year. Unless I come across any, like, I do want to read Trust by Hernan Diaz, and I do want to read his Western as well. But I'll have to only come across those used in a used bookstore. So yeah, Kafka on the Shore by Haruki Murakami. So Kafka on the Shore is powered by two remarkable characters, a teenage boy, Kafka Tamura, who runs away from home, either to escape a gruesome Oedipal prophecy or to search for his long missing mother and sister, and an aging simpleton called Nakata, who never recovered from a wartime affliction and now is drawn toward Kafka for reasons that he cannot fathom. As their paths converge, Haruki Murakami unfolds readers in a world where cats talk, fish fall from the sky, and spirits slip out of the bodies to make love or commit murder. Kafka on the Shore displays one of the world's great storytellers at the peak of his powers. Excited. Then we have Tar Baby by Toni Morrison. Tar Baby is a magnificent novel from one of the most acclaimed authors of our day. Toni Morrison, never before has she probed so deeply and sensitively into the relationships between blacks, whites, blacks, and blacks, women, and men. Never before has she achieved such a raw emotional intensity and overwhelming narrative drive. In the words of New York Magazine, Toni Morrison has made herself into the D.H. Lawrence of the black psyche, transforming individuals into forces, idiosyncrasy into inevitability. So, Tar Baby. Then we have Beloved. All right, so I've read Beloved. I know what Beloved is about. I've watched the movie Beloved, so I know exactly what Beloved is about. It's about Setna, who is an ex-slave, and she is haunted by the daughter that she killed because she didn't want to take her daughter back into slavery with her. That's what the story is about, but I've never read the book. So we're going to read the book. So we got two Morrisons this year. I read Sula in December of 2021. And I read Tar Baby. I read The Bluest Eye in February of 2022. So now we have Beloved and Toni Morrison's Tar Baby this year. Next we have Severance by Ling Ma. So Severance is about a pandemic that occurs in the working class and how those two things intertwine, if I'm not mistaken. There isn't really a blurb, but we can read the bottom. It says, a satirical spin on the end of times, kind of like The Office meets The Leftovers. Extraordinary, Severance might just be the first and only coming-of-age immigrant experience, anti-capitalist zombie novel you'll ever need. It keeps the horrific digestible, the repetitive laughable, and the pages turning. So it's gripping and original. That's all it says on the back. So we're gonna read Severance by Ling Ma. Also, I have a book that's it's Intimacies. I have Intimacies. It is on my shelf, but I didn't bring it out. So next we have the Wind Up Bird Chronicle by Haruki Murakami as well. And so Toru Okada's cat has disappeared, and this has unsettled his wife, who is herself growing more distant every day. Then there are the increasingly explicit telephone calls he has started receiving. As this compelling story unfolds, the tidy suburban realities of Okada's vague and blameless life, spent cooking, reading, listening to jazz and opera, and drinking beer at the kitchen table, are turned inside out, and he embarks on a bizarre journey, guided however obscurely by a succession of characters, each with a tale to tell. So yeah, so we got two Morrisons, two Murakamis. All right, so this book I actually started reading back in 2022. So this is Pilgrim at Tinker Creek by Annie Dillard. And as I stated, I read 30 books this year. And I didn't finish a couple because, like I said, I am not about how many books, baby, no. I'm a woman who loves down to the threads that I put on my body, down to the shoes that I put on my feet, down to the skincare. I like quality over quantity. And so with not finishing East of Eden, that was because I took my time. With not finishing Pilgrim at Tinker Creek, it's because I'm taking my time. So this book is, you have to go slow. I have one page where it's just like mind-blowing. Like everything is underlinable. Like, look, like, girl, Annie Dillard's amazing. So this is nature writing. This is nonfiction. This is about when she spent some time at Tinker Creek, I think up in Virginia, and it's just regarding nature and how she's just talking about the earth, and I love it. And so we're gonna definitely still spend time with it this year. Then we have Amar Towles, A Gentleman in Moscow. Also, I started reading this. I am actually on chapter 2, which is The Appointment, and I made the conscious decision to stop reading this and bring it into 2023 because it's beautiful already. Like, I love it. So we're gonna take this one and bring it into the year. It says, when in 1922 30-year-old Count Alexander Rostov is deemed an unrepentant aristocrat by a Bolshevik tribunal. He is sentenced to house arrest in the Metropole, a grand hotel near the Kremlin. An indomitable man of erudition and wit, Rostov must now live in an attic room as some of the most tumultuous decades in Russian history unfold. Unexpectedly, the Count's reduced circumstances provide him entry into a world of emotional discovery as he forges friendships with the hotel's denizens. But when fate puts the life of a young girl in his hands, he must draw on all his ingenuity to protect the future she deserves. Hailed for its humor, intrigue, and beautifully rendered scenes, this singular novel casts a spell as it relates the Count's endeavor to become a man of purpose. Yeah. Oh, and we have Pachinko. I'm really excited about Pachinko. I'm really excited. This tale is a saga. History is seldom kind. In Min Jin Lee's best-selling magisterial epic, 4 generations of a poor, proud immigrant family fight to control their destinies. Exiled from a homeland they never knew. In the early 1900s, teenage Sunja, the adored daughter of a crippled fisherman, falls for a wealthy stranger at the seashore near her home in Korea. He promises her the world, but when she discovers she is pregnant and that her lover is married, she refuses to be bought. Instead, she accepts an offer of marriage from a gentle, sickly minister passing through on his way to Japan. But her decision to abandon her home and to reject her son's powerful father sets off a dramatic saga that will echo down through the generations. Richly told and proudly moving, Pachinko is a story of love, sacrifice, ambition, and loyalty. From the bustling street markets to the halls of Japan's finest universities to the Pachinko parlors of the criminal underworld. Lee's complex and passionate characters, strong, stubborn women, devoted sisters and sons, fathers shaken by moral crisis, survive and thrive against the indifferent arc of history. Doesn't that sound good? That sounds wonderful. So yeah, on the list. Then we have Near to the Wild Heart by Clarice Lispector. I bought this book a couple of days ago. I've been wanting to read Clarice since, I want to say I think it's, what is her name? She loves purple. She loves purple, and I'm subscribed to her booktube. Renee was talking about The Apprenticeship in the Book of Pleasures, but I wanted to start with her first one. So we have the first novel by Clarice Lispector, which is Near to the Wild Heart, and I think she wrote this book when she was 23. It says here, published in Rio de Janeiro in 1943, Near to the Wild Heart introduced Brazil to Hurricane Clarice, an unknown 23-year-old who wrote her first book in a tiny rented room and then, at the suggestion of a friend, baptized it with the title from Joyce. He was alone, unheeded, near to the wild heart of life. The first novel, The Story of the Pharaoh, A Moral Joanna, announces one of the great careers in 20th century literature. And girl, I'm excited. So we got a little bit of Clarice. Hello, Clarice. And we have Just Kids by Patti Smith. So Just Kids is a memoir. It says here, it was the summer Coltrane died. Oh my God, if you don't know, if you have never listened, go ahead and play In a Sentimental Mood by John Coltrane. Beautiful. It's him and Duke Ellington together. All right, so it was the summer Coltrane died, the summer of love and riots, and the summer when a chance encounter in Brooklyn led two young people on a path of art, devotion, and intonation. Patti Smith would evolve as a poet and performer, and Robert Mapplethorpe would direct his highly provocative style toward photography. Bound in innocence and enthusiasm, they traversed the city from Coney Island to 42nd Street. And in 1969, the pair set up camp at the infamous Hotel Chelsea. It was a time of heightened awareness when the worlds of poetry, rock and roll, art, and sexual politics were colliding and exploding. In this milieu, fueled by their mutual dreams and drives, they would prod and provide for one another during the hungry years. Just Kids begins as a love story and ends as an elegy. It serves as a salute to New York City during the late 60s and 70s and to its rich and poor, its hustlers and Helens. A true fable, it is a portrait of two young artists, accent a prelude to fame. A prelude. So of course we know that, I know that Robert Mapplethorpe dies of AIDS. So that's why it says it ends as a eulogy, because this is around the time that people were getting it and not knowing what was going on with them. So I'm excited about this. I've heard good things. And then we have the follow-up to The Smash. We have Either Or. We have Either Or by Elif Batuman. And so The Idiot's one of my top reads of 2022. So of course you guys, I had to get Either Or, and I've had it for months now. I've had it since the summertime. So we have Shailene, and is the luckiest person in her family. The only one who was born in America and got to go to Harvard. Now it's sophomore year 1996, and Shailene knows she has to make it count. The first order of business to figure out the meaning of everything that happened over the summer. Why did Shailene's elusive crush Yvonne find her that job in the Hungarian countryside? What was up with all those other people in the Hungarian countryside? Why is Yvonne's ex-girlfriend now trying to get in touch with her? On the plus side, it feels like the plot of an exciting novel. On the other hand, why do so many novels have crazy abandoned women in them? How does one live a life as interesting as a novel? A life worthy of becoming a novel without becoming a crazy abandoned woman oneself? Guided by her literature syllabus and by her more worldly and confident peers, Shailene reaches certain conclusions about the universal importance of parties, alcohol, and sex, and resolves to execute them in practice, no matter what the cost. Next on the list, international travel. Unfolding with the propulsive logic and intensity of youth, Either Or is a landmark novel by one of our most brilliant writers. Hilarious, revelatory, and unforgettable, its gripping narrative will confront you with searching questions that persist long after the last page. And that's the last one. So this is just a tentative list. This is just a tentative list. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 books here. They will get read. But then I also have plenty more books that I do want to touch on this year. But these are at the top, okay? So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Yeah, like talk to me in the comments and stuff. Also subscribe to my vlogging channel if you like my personality. It'll be linked below, and I'll see you guys in my next upload.